All right, guys, we are live right here on the Truth Be Told show. You guys there?
I'm here.
All right, so I got my brothers from other mothers that are here with me, and I think we'll be without Peter Hayes today. He's got some business to take care of, and Marcus is here, and he'll be he's moving around a bit. But just the same, folks. Again, it is the Truth Be Told show. It is Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. This is absolutely the only Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022, that you will ever get in your life. This is a one of a kind day, folks. You will never get another Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. So make it a great day. Right now, it is the Truth Be Told show. Let's get it.
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
All right, folks. All right. Again, it is the Truth Be Told show, Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. And today's theme is food or no food come this fall. All right. Food or no food come this fall. We have Marcus Ray with us. We've got a guest host, Leonard Walker. And Leonard Walker, you are from History Untold 400. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Waiting for some people to show up, some contractors to show up to do some work here on my house. As you guys know, I'm retired. Many of you don't know, but I'm retired at 54 years old. So, yeah, these are the types of things you do when you're retired is wait for contractors to come and make sure things are set up and that sort of thing, and be guest hosts on fabulous shows like this one. So,
hey, man, how good does it feel to say things like, I'm retired at 54 years old?
Man, I tell you what, it's amazing. It's a blessing. It's amazing. What a lot of people don't realize is that when you're retired, that doesn't mean that you don't do anything. A lot of people say, "Oh, you retire, you don't work." No, you do what you want to do, or sometimes you do the things that you need to do. See, so stuff around the house that's got to get done, the things that you never had time to do or you always would put off. Those are the things that you can do now, and it's a trip how you see progress being made. So it's, like I said,
Oh, man.
you keep busy, but yet and still, the good thing about being retired is when I want to go on a vacation or go somewhere, I can just go. I don't have to put in a request for anything or anything, like just make sure I got my money up and go places. Like I said, I was just last week, I was in historic Williamsburg, Virginia. Me and my wife went on a vacation up there. We went to Busch Gardens and checked out some historical sites and went to the beach, Yorktown Beach. I was out at the actual landing spot of where the 20 or so odd slaves were brought to America and traded for food and supplies.
20? Just 20?
They say it's 20, but I think it's more like 20. It was like 26. They don't have a clear account. They just knew where the enslaved Africans came in and where they landed. I was actually on that spot, as you know.
Now, was this supposed to be the first slaves in America?
The first enslaved Africans. All right, it came because there were
Gotcha.
slaves. There were European slaves before then. Indentured servants, people in Britain, men in Britain who had committed crimes that were sentenced to the punishment of transportation. They had to work their penance off in the new colony of America at the time. So that's a pretty deep history. Um, as far as history of slavery, because it's not just Africans. It was, you had Europeans, you had not Europeans, but you had British men who were enslaved and women who were enslaved as well for various things. But when we talk about the difference is that the African slave, they use a term called durante vita, meaning during life. So there was no chance of a African slave being, an indentured servant or being free unless he came over as a free immigrant before then, right? See, so that was the intent was for African slaves to be slaves for all of their lives, until death, and that was the difference. Whereas indentured servants could work, until 7 years or whatever to gain freedom, and then get um, some parts of this newly found colony of America. So that's the difference, between that.
Got you. So, with that in mind, then, we are having a theme today, which
Mm,
is food or no food come fall. And we
right.
do have a special guest. As you are our guest host, we have our special guest for the day,
Hmm.
which is Brother Martin Smith, which I'm going to go ahead and bring him on just the same.
Hmm.
All right, Martin Smith. How you doing there, brother?
Morning, gentlemen.
All
Good
right.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Doing
I A lot of us are doing a lot of transitioning this morning. It's a busy day. Everybody's got a busy day this morning. But how you doing there?
doing well. I can't be doing much better than being with a bunch of highly favored men. You know what I mean? Men that God shines down on. Leonard, look at him. I can't ever see anybody more satisfied with life than the expressions. When you asked him, how's it feel? Bam! I seen it. I was like, man, that's a that's your spirit coming to the front porch. And
Yeah.
see, his spirit's doing good, and it's good to be with highly favored men this morning.
Exactly. Exactly. That is awesome. And of course, my name is the only one that is in the Bible. So I'm probably the most highly favored, but that's just, I'm just saying. Uh, but with that in mind, food or no food, come fall. Man, is this a thought of us having famine like the days of Bible? Uh, what's going on here, man? Is this about the war in Ukraine? How's that affecting the world food supply?
Yeah, I appreciate all of that, build up. And really, you talk about the Bible days of, oh no, these are the projected days of our of the coming of the Lord. And so we're in those days, no matter when you were born, uh, from beginning to end, all of history is his story, right? It's about all of this is about the returning of the Christ. And when God was so generous with all of those words that we call the Bible, when he was so generous to put them in organized ways such that the chaos of what we're experiencing today kind of makes a little sense when you trust and believe. He put those words in there to give us the hope that we need in times like this. And if you're one of the 400 million people that are going to starve to death, projected to starve to death on this planet due to the grain, not being able to move out of Ukraine, and they're the fourth largest producer of wheat, and they do a whole lot, have a lot of other resources by design. Again, God This is what God does. You only get one growing season. So if you mess that growing season up in any way, somebody's going to starve. And it's not fair. The world's distribution model isn't set up to like our Constitution, where everyone has an equal endowment and they have access to that endowment. The chain, that's the distribution of food isn't just. And so there's a lot of things going on in the world with policy and many other things that affect where we are at. With you get one growing season. You mess that season up and people go hungry. And that's where we are.
So how does that work when you say we get one growing season and people mess that up? So
Yeah,
I mean, where's the growing season being messed up at? I mean, we don't have grain coming out of Ukraine. So when I go to Starbucks, then I have an issue getting oat milk substitute. But how is that affecting, farming elsewhere?
Yeah, you said it earlier in your opening statement. You made a very profound statement along the same lines that I'm talking about, and that is that you only get one, second day of August 2022, and what you do with that in farming determines the future. So if I say, for example, today I'm not going to go out and take care of the weeds in my soybeans, then that's going to my yields in the future. And so if I mess, the second day of August up, and then, those things go further. So let's go, for example, the droughts that we're having across the world, around the world. Just the droughts alone drops the yield potential. So now we got fires all over the world in places where these grains are being dried out in the field by drought, and fires are taken up. And so they're wiping out that potential that was there. So protecting, that one growing season every year is important. For example, let's look at Sri Lanka. I don't know if you've, since the last time I was on the show, had a chance to look at what is causing the issues politically in Sri Lanka, as economically, as well as, exposing of corruption. When people get hungry, they start doing some crazy stuff. It's the way it is. And so Sri Lanka basically, not basically, last year, their president said that you can't fertilize your crops the way you normally have. You have to go back to manure. Well, that's one messed up growing season, which collapsed their economy, which now, because they are an import, they don't have no monies because they're not exporting like they did to buy anything they need. And because of that one political decision, policy decision that was made there, now that one growing season creating a collapse in their whole entire culture and their whole, they came in, I don't know if you've seen the footage, but they came in, they've been standing in long queue lines for days trying to get gasoline because they don't have no money to be able to import gasoline. They're staying in line for, every commodity with none able to be purchased because your money doesn't buy anything and you don't have now the infrastructure to be able to do that. So it's important, when you say a season, it's important to understand how, our farmers are the heroes of the world, without a doubt. Corporate farmers decide they're just going to feed their families and nobody else's families. What happens then?
Yeah.
We're in the hands of those who produce, and when one growing season goes bad, it's bad for the least of these on this planet. Like I said earlier,
Right.
The distribution isn't fair of food, right? It's not fair. Like if we could that we would equally distribute it all over to the planet, to everybody equally, that distribution model did that, we could easily feed the 7 billion people that are on here. Every 4 seconds, a baby is born on this planet. 4 every 1 second, a baby is born on this planet. We've got to build a system that allows for that equal distribution of what God's potential is on this planet for us to produce and take care of one another in an equal way. But it's not that way now, and therefore people starve to death, and by the millions now.
Martin, I've
So
got a quick question, if you would allow me.
go ahead, Leonard.
Yeah, in this theme that we're talking, food insecurity, serious food insecurity coming up due to several different factors, war and different things. How does the monetization of food play a role in this? And by monetization, I mean instead of growing crops, and like I said, being a farmer that you are, you understand the value of actually growing nutritious crops, food crops. Compared to that, let's look. Monetization of food would be growing crops purely to make money to put a product on the shelf. So that's lots of preservatives, lots of GMOs. Trying to and you speak of when you speak of God, you speak of nature, you speak of a natural way in order for food to be, right? And when we look at the monetization of food, we're looking at just nothing but let's just create something edible so that we can make a profit. How is that going to kind of play into what's going on right now as far as the food insecurity or the projected food insecurity that we're looking at coming maybe this fall or maybe even into the winter?
Yeah, so you're talking about manufactured food, and you're talking about that offering space is right now it meets a lot of the demand for food, not the nutritional demand, but the
Right.
demand for food for folks who are, let's just go straight to the basic poverty, right?
Right.
So at that basic poverty level, the farm bill, you know what that is, right? It's basically a bill that governs how the government's going to interact with commodities, and that's the goal of that is to be able to use tax dollars through what's called SNAP, the benefits of federal governments going to the impoverished people under a certain poverty line, so that they can engage with the marketplace and be able to at least get to the supply. And but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get to the nutritional supply. It just means the manufacturer supply. So right now, those dollars that are going into those concentrated spaces, like the inner city has a lot of concentrated SNAP dollars, are being spent with corporations who are in, not only are they a distributor, but in a lot of cases like Walmart and others, they got their own brands. So they're manufacturing as well. So they're vertically integrated and vested in that manufacturing space to be able to bring a non-nutrition product into those communities where people live out of their microwave.
Right.
And because of that, when we look at, well, that's the cheapest way to eat. No, it's the cheapest way to manufacture a good that somebody without access to a better choice will take.
Right.
And because they don't have the big dollars, in other words, they don't have the dollars to go to eat at Ruth Chris or go get the biggest, nicest, steak, have a big old freezer, and be able to go down to the farmer's market or go down to the butcher and be able to get an at value nutritional. Because that option available to them, go to the goods as a way of meeting the demand for food, not the nutritional demand, but demand. So the integration, what I see happening right now with the cost of that manufactured product being diesel being so high and energy costs going so high, even the manufacturer of those goods of the lowest resource and nutrition still have a barrier. I think, and what I believe, and what I've spent my lifetime, my whole life working on, is integrating that nutritional side of what the Farm Bill had intended. The Farm Bill had intended to use food stamp dollars to boost a local economy of high nutrition products integrating into this inner city. Food stamp dollars building markets and building opportunity. But what happened is those manufacturers of goods and distributors who would tie together the whole entire food chain in order to go through Walmart has 1.6 billion people walk through their door every day. And so to be able to tie those manufactured goods to a community and be able to vacuum off all of those federal food stamp dollars by offering, to those communities. For example, why isn't Walmart in the middle of where those food stamps dollars are? Well, because you have to get on a bus and so you're not going to go there and buy those really good products or expend your food stamp dollars, because you got transportation costs and you got barriers there. So instead of going all the way, taking your food stamp dollars and going to Walmart away from them, you getting less value for what you're buying, as opposed to somebody in a community is spending dollars instead of food stamp dollars. And so Walmart is really sucked all of the potential, not just Walmart. Let me rephrase. Those corporations who are distributors and manufacturers integrating together in order to bring a product from, the average good travels 1,500 miles to get to you. So
Right.
those manufacturers and distributors who make that possible suck out the intent of the Farm Bill to integrate those two, dollars and potential high nutrition, to build an economy around both, such that now those food stamp dollars have built manufacturing local, like canneries and flash freeze operations and things that will help to preserve and extend and build out that infrastructure locally, and raising tax dollars locally, and being able to fortify one's food stamp homes with dollars through, job opportunities. So that's what my company does. That's what we do. That's what we've been focused on for years, setting up that interaction and the infrastructure.
So it sounds like the need right now is for everybody to just stop shopping at the big box stores.
Well, the thing about that is, then all that means is that you demand a better product that does, from someone who is producing it, like myself, a farmer. You demand a better product and a greater relationship. And if you stop,
Is it the Walmarts of the world, the big box stores of the world that have produce? Do they not service local farming as a Kroger would?
So Kroger is starting to do that. If you notice, they're now working on that. They've been working on it for about 3 years. You could go in and see tomatoes during tomato season that a farm that a Kentucky Proud farm had, and so they're really showcasing the Kentucky Proud integration with the farm community, and that's a good step. But where's their dollars being spent when they leave here? That's the difference between buying somebody who is going to spend their dollars here, with that interaction with farmer, and that farmer interaction with the consumer, that allows for both of them to have a better experience, more security, and economically build their communities together.
Gotcha.
That's the dynamic that I don't believe large corporate companies, because they got shareholders. Right? The only shareholders in this experiment or in this model, is you and the producer and the local distribution, and manufacturing of that good, whether it be put into, maybe there's somebody in your community, in the local community, who's well known for some kind of, let's call it a chili, and then we can that right locally and make it manufactured locally and distribute it locally and generate that economic impact locally, and so now we have a cannery, and now we have somebody who's raising the beef for it locally, and somebody's raising the beans for it, and somebody's raising the chilies, and on and on and on, and tomatoes and what have you. And because of that, we have now established the greater good and the intent of Congress when they put together the welfare program associated to
Gotcha. Okay, so I tell you what, love everything that I'm hearing, folks. What we just heard is the importance of supporting home team. That is absolutely what we just heard. But real quick, we're gonna go to commercial, And we'll talk some more. We're going to talk about the flooding in eastern Kentucky as well. I don't want to miss that. But coming up, we're talking, why is there going to be a food shortage, which we kind of capped that as well. And how does that impact the average family? Okay. So we'll talk about that and more as we come back here at the Truth Be Told show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Truth Be Told, for allowing God's Lives Matter to be a sponsor. Wearable products, as the purple t-shirt, is bearing witness. Every life created by God has infinite value. Visit God'sLivesMatter.com.
Hey folks, check out HealthDaddyWow.net. 100% plant-based herbs and supplements. Whether you're in person or online, use the word tipping for 10% off. Remember, feel better, look great, HealthDaddyWow.net. Remember, HealthDaddyWow.net.
Habibi Trading Company, home of soap sticks and Saya Baba products. Over 400 locations at a store near you. Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville and Lexington, Kentucky, Southern Indiana, or find yours online at sayababa.com. Again, that's sayababa.com. Habibi Trading Company, where you can find fragrances to incite your senses.
I don't need to sit at your table. We building one. We in the process of building a table. We building a table. I don't gotta sit at your table. I'm building my own table, and I will build you a table in the presence of your enemies.
All right, cue the music.
Cue music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Mishorn.
All right, folks, we're back, and you know what? There was a comment that popped up, a couple comments that popped up. I want to make sure that we get those real quick. Basically, Uncle Mishorn says basically when it comes to the what is right for us hashtag #WERFU, the demographics of the underserved majority. How do you see that affecting them? So that's exactly what we're talking about as we talk about how does that impact the average family. Just the same, this other comment comes from Esoteric Concepts. Why is this country allowing Monsanto and other GMO companies to tamper with our food source? Other countries in Europe kicked Monsanto out. Why aren't you and other campaigning against Monsanto? That is a good question. And I know just from the little bit of research that I've done through the years, you can't be anywhere near the idea of health and wellness and not run across conversations, research and stuff about Monsanto. Okay. And so, for myself, trying to get back into it, used to be vegetarian for many years and all that good stuff. But with that in mind, stuff that I've seen, Monsanto is a scary son of a gun. Okay. And they have probably scared the crap out of a lot of people. But I'll say this, I don't think Americans have the heart today that they used to, let's just say even 50 to 60 years ago. All right. So 50, 60, 70 years ago, people had no qualms about putting themselves in harm's way in order to die for
what they believed in. And nowadays, people don't have that same heart. I don't believe so. So they allow people allow, because look, Monsanto, they get out there, they put agents out there, they put people out there, they got their hands in everybody's pockets, right? And they can make a call to a state and have some officers come and do some bidding for them. I strongly believe that. I've seen stories, read up on stuff, and sometimes we look at the news and see senseless, killings, and then find out that there was an inventor of engine that only worked on the hydrogen from water, and that person was killed in that mass shooting, and then you're like, you know what I mean? Like that's too much of a coincidence, But with that in mind, Leonard, I want to hear from you, sir, as you're here and guest hosting with us. How would you say that this impacts the average family in America?
Well, we're already seeing it. When you go to the grocery store and, maybe some of your favorite products, maybe, some brands that you normally would see, you don't see as many on the shelf right now. And we're seeing this impact right now. One of the things that I kind of measure a grocery store by, or a market by, is how big the produce section is. Typically, a produce section is anywhere from 1/10 to 1/8 the size of the grocery store. Everything else is processed or frozen or in a bag in a box, right? Um, and we see that more and more. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when used to have pretty nice size produce sections, and now as you see more preserved foods, okay, you don't see that as much anymore. But here's the thing: is now you're starting to see those preserved foods not being on the shelf. Bread. Like I say, you see more canned foods, but you don't canned meats, but you don't see bread and, like I say, grains and different products. So they change the product line. So we're seeing that. Plus, on top of that, when you have less, I mean, the products are gonna cost more. So you're gonna see inflation. You're gonna see, hey, a loaf of bread now is, back in the day. Well, I ain't gonna even say back in the day. I'll say a couple of years ago, average cost of a loaf of bread was anywhere from $2.50 to about $3 and some change. Right now, it's 5, 6.99, for especially if it's some bread that's considered quote unquote healthy bread. So you might pay $6.99 plus tax on a loaf of bread that you might be able to get about what, maybe 8 sandwiches out of. See, so this is how this is going to impact. And like I said, it's families, and it's not just the grocery store. You think about schools, all right, that get supplied, lunches, or I know here in North Carolina, and I think of many other places, because there are food insecurities. What you have is the cities of many different places offer, or counties offer, like if there's a rec center, they'll offer lunch for kids that are out of school that would normally not be able to get. So all of these prices of everything, all right, are going to go up. The supply is going to dwindle down, and I'm not trying to sound, apocalyptic, but just like
I mean,
Martin was talking, we're in a
we've
season
seen
of
this stuff
famine.
in the movies.
Yeah, we're in a season of famine now. But the good thing about this is whenever there's a crisis, okay, or whenever there's some sort of adversity, you can do one of two things. You can either fold on and just, try to weather the storm, or you can weather the storm and say, you know what, this is going to happen again. What am I going to do to prepare myself
Exactly.
for the next time we have some sort of a food shortage or things? You see these shows, these prepper people, but you don't have to go to that extreme. You can always still say, you know what, Let me grow a little garden. Let me do
I
this. Let
need
me
to
do
go to
that.
that extreme, man. I'm trying to look. I'm trying to get with Martin because Martin. I know Martin's got an underground bunker somewhere and all of that. So,
Hey, that's me.
I've been trying to get out to his farm. I'm trying to visit all these places, and Leonard, I'm coming out there, all that because I need to figure this out. But Martin, I want you to elaborate on this whole Monsanto thing. Why do you think the U.S. has not said, you know what, screw you, Monsanto? You can't come and take everything. You can't be out here trying to put patents on regular things like an apple seed. You can't be out here doing what you do, scaring the crap out of farmers and allowing us, the government, to come in and take over that farm. In bed with you. So I mean, we more or less have answered the question, but go ahead and elaborate on that. Is there any experience that you have that you have seen, or even if you have seen it, would you even be willing to share it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the question from the viewer there, because the listener, it was very pointed to me, like, what are you doing about it? And that's the whole point.
Yep.
That's the heck point right there. He described it. He described the solution. It's the fact that we're not doing anything about it. Bad things happen when good men do nothing. Mm-hmm. When you spend your dollar with a local farmer, you think he's got the ability to patent corn that's genetically modified with a frog enzyme? So you spend your money with the local farmer, and you don't worry about those things, and you put those guys out of business.
Right.
Man, a frog enzyme. So that's how we got popcorn. Interesting.
Hopcorn, not popcorn.
Hey, but that's what makes the popcorn hop so high when you do it in the pot. It's because of them frog enzymes. So, with that in mind, what can we do? How can we fight against Monsanto?
Yeah, that's just what I was just describing. The thing about, you said they're in everybody's pocket. They ain't in my pocket. They ain't in your pocket. They ain't in your budget dollars, or are they? Because you're unaware of the fact that they are. Mm-hmm. Understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so what I say to us, and that's why the solution is I've been, military chose me to be a tactical navigation specialist for a reason, because I'm able to see things coming in the future, not because it's just a gift God gave me to be able to view things. And I've been viewing this thing from a long time, from a tailgate conversation my dad had with me when I was choosing which branch of service I was going to serve under. And so, why I'm saying that, I'm saying this isn't something that just snuck up on us. This is something, this is 88. I went and served and went to my first boot camp, went to boot camp. So I've been on this my whole entire life from, since the good Lord expressed to me that this was going to be the future. And if you can't read the word and find where we're at, you better get back into reading the word a little more, because we're right where the word says we are. And we are going to be in a position where I believe in the Bible Belt. There's so much opportunity. The work that we're doing in the Bible Belt right now with, shoring up this thing that has happened to our country and to the world, where we, the good men, have not done the right things in order to make this situation better. But we can't do anything but do it today. I mean, like I told you, the season's over. Yesterday, August 1st is gone. Nothing we can do to improve on August 1st. Other than to do the best we can do today to lessen the impact of doing nothing yesterday. You understand? If I laid in bed yesterday, I would not get the yield potential out of today and out of the future that I need. So we got to start doing things right. And that's what our company does. We look at setting up local throughout the whole Mississippi Ohio River Valley, which is the Bible Belt, where we can use resources and producers locally to be able to increase the local production, to be able to bring it into these places where nutrition is not a decision, something that makes sense because it's not there, to bring nutrition from this Ohio River Valley region, the Bible Belt, and to be able to concentrate that in a way that when this does happen, and listen, you think it ain't rolling up on our shores? Go try to buy a dozen eggs a year ago, 2 years ago, and buy a dozen eggs now. And
Right.
find those the amount of dozen eggs that were on the shelf then and now. Have you not noticed Walmart's? Before in Walmart you push your cart and you just try to avoid. Now you can race each other and do laps around each other in the aisles, because the aisles are gotten so wide because of the least amount of goods that are out there. Supply chains, crashing with the way that the economic. I mean, think about this. Let me give you an example. So our inflation right now is at 9%. If you are in another country, for 9% inflation for us across the board, goods and food are much higher, 30 in the 30s in the percentile. So
Right.
if we're sitting here experiencing that now, imagine somebody who is in a third world country exchanging dollars for our good, or exchanging their dollars for our dollars. Imagine the inflationary impact it has on a poor country, having to buy from their money, exchange it over to dollars. So their budget's blowed up. We've blowed up every third world country's dollar that is, and that's why you're starting to see Pakistan's fixing to go down. Iran they just overthrew their parliament. Sri Lanka just overthrew their government.
Right.
On and on and on. Ghana's fixing to overthrow their government. All these are due to economic corruption, right? And economic impact of inflation in America and policies that we're making. So, going from being energy independent to being dependent on all these other countries has weakened the dollar. Printing money through COVID so that we could, make it past not working, having to go to work and making profit. We printed money, which now created the inflation we're in today. It's lowering the value of the dollar all over the world. So we're not the only ones suffering at the cash register. There are literally whole economies failing because of the exchange rate of inflation, inflationary exchange rate. Countries.
Let me ask you a question. What does Akasita mean?
What is it?
Akasita or Danawa Danatilihi. Do you know any of that?
No, I don't, but it sounds like you may be ordering something from an exotic restaurant.
I was trying to speak a little Native American.
Okay, what dialect?
I think that was Lakota.
Lakota, okay. I'm Apache, so you got Cherokee.
I should have asked Google differently. I forgot to put Apache in there. But that's interesting that you are part Native American and a navigational specialist in the military. Seems like those two go hand in hand. To be honest with you, with that in mind, then it really kind of seems like we're past the idea of a solution for this famine. Do you think that this is going to go away and then it'll happen again in the future, or you think that this is the beginning of the end?
I quit thinking. I just read my Bible where it says that these things, there's going to be pestilence. Let me tell you how pestilence gets started. So right now you have GMO corns and things of that nature that Monsanto's developed that you can go in and spray pesticides over and get rid of undergrowth and all that, and the flourishes and comes up. Those are all made by petrochemicals. I have fertilizers the same way. So right now, last year, fertilizer cost was about $186 a ton. This year, we're around somewhere between $840 and $900 a ton based on where you go at. These crops, so the diesel fuel, $2.85, now we're up to $5, $6 in some places in the country, even higher than that produce some of the most food for us. We've got shortages that are in all kinds of areas where equipment has been made because manufacturers are not, they've got supply chain issues. They can't get certain components. So now we got machinery that's sitting around it needs parts and components to. All of those things limit the potential for that particular seed to be able to make it without blight, make it without a pestilence that's coming. As soon as that little weak seedling comes up into this world and it ain't got everything it needs, something's going to eat it. Something's going to attack it. Something's going to, and so that's going to drop the potential for the yields to happen, which the Bible says that there are going to be those famines are going to come due to pestilence and due to these things. So this energy crisis we're in, all of these things where the Keystone Pipeline didn't get put in, that was the first thing, like I told you, Sri Lanka made their last year said, you have the fertilizer manure, you can't use the fertilizers you're used to. Now their country's overthrown. We've got the Keystone Pipeline. That was the very first thing that this administration did was to shut that down and take that oil supply away from the U.S. economy. At that moment, that very moment, all of these things I just described to you predestined us to have pestilence and famine.
So explain the Keystone Pipeline. Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah, the Keystone Pipeline was a pipeline that President Trump authorized to be able to move oil in and out of the U.S. And so it was a way to take our oil and take it around the world, and also have another way to bring oils from around the world into the U.S. And so because of that, infrastructure that we need it in order to stay independent. Because of that infrastructure project was there, now companies were going to be able to operate around that to extract American oil and fill that pipeline with American oil. So it was stabilizing our energy independence is what that infrastructure project was designed to do.
Man, so I tell you what, I want to show you guys something. This is a comedic trailer to a movie called Idiocracy. Have you seen it? Has any of you seen it? Okay. Well, I want to show this to you because it makes me think about what's going on right now. Real quick, let me get to this comment. We will have a new president or sameness or same political party in 2024, right? What is the best conservative versus liberal candidate for combating and navigating our food shortage in our social division and past economic failures that are occurring throughout America and the world today? So what is the best conservative candidate for combating this food shortage right now?
You, the American people, quit. Listen, you got dollars in your pocket. You have influence. You have a constitutional protections as an individual, which are greater than the state. It's us who's the solution. We are the solution. When we keep looking towards government to solve our issues, it's where you spend your dollar. Look, you can supply, just like me, I supply my whole household nutrition from right here. Can too. You just got to have the infrastructure, the conversation between you and the producer in order to have everything that you need. That's what we do as a company. That's the solution. But it's your dollars, your interaction with the markets, your interaction with the politics that makes the difference. It isn't them making a difference for you. It's you making it for your country. Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Can I get you on video at my house and help me figure out some farming solutions in my backyard?
Done.
Got it.
So
right.
Just quickly, in other words, what you're saying, Martin, is like I can echo this. Is the bottom line is the role of government is to facilitate our ability to help ourselves and to empower ourselves. Okay, and if that's not happening, if we're empowering government, it's the absolute opposite. Government is supposed to be empowering us to do for ourselves. Like I said, to answer to that question, candidates and all this, the bottom line is you have to, as the people, we have to force, whomever to be accountable, all right, to us, right? Because we are the people, right? And we are the ones that the government is supposed to be serving and not the other way around. We're
We
looking
forgot
for the
that.
government to save us instead of serving us.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So real quick, let me share this with you guys. You guys will probably find this a bit facetious, but at the same time, there's some truth to this, and it's interesting how much this movie did not get the pub that, I mean, in this day and age, it should have. But let's check this out.
What the hell is this? Tastes like Gatorade.
Is that Brondo stuff?
They're watering crops with a sports drink?
Rondo the Thirst Mutilator had come to replace water virtually everywhere. Water, the basic component of all life, had been deemed a threat to Brondo's profit margin. The solution came during the budget crisis of 2330, when the Brondo Corporation simply bought the FDA and the FCC, enabling them to say, do, and sell anything they wanted. Joe didn't know any of this, but he did see a problem that he might actually be able to solve. With his options running out, Joe took a bold step. He would not get out of the way. This time, he would lead.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
But Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Hey, look. The plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes.
What are electrolytes? Do you even know?
It's what they use to make Brondo.
Yeah, but why did they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
After several hours, Joe finally gave up on logic and reason and simply told the cabinet that he could talk to plants and that they wanted water. He made believers out of everyone. Joe didn't know it, but the beloved electrolytes were salts that had been building up in the topsoil over the decades.
I'm Dr. Rolf, and I study insurance agents like you.
So, that's just a little snippet. That movie, as it is, facetious in ways, it is kind of what we're talking about here. It's the guy Joe there was someone that was cast into the future. He was supposed to, I think, be gone for a year or something like that. Well, they did a mix-up, a mess-up happened, and next thing you know, he's in 2350 instead of 2022, or it's supposed to be 2023 or something like that. Nonetheless, this is what what America looks like in 2350. Everything's broken down, and when I look at the Brondo, it makes me think of Monsanto. And I believe that they were being facetious in saying that just the same, and how they bought everything, the FDA, the FCC, they bought everything, and they turned this into a circus of a country, a circus of a world. And as new generations come about, they sit back and think that, this Gatorade is what we're supposed to be doing. So
I speak to that, Joe. Let me
go
speak to
ahead,
that.
please.
So obviously that's a fictional story, because the reality is if they did that 1 year, they'd all be starved to death, and there wouldn't be nothing. There wouldn't be nobody to film. So that's the reality of it all. It's all. I mean, basically, that's talking, in my opinion, talking about marketing and how it's affected, the way you think about the way things really are. But the way things really are is, if you was to do that and that would become a practice across the food chain, there wouldn't be no story, because there wouldn't be nobody here, because we'd starve to death.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a day two or a year two.
So, the solution, when it says here, when we start talking about how to weather the food shortage storm, Leonard, is there anything that you're doing yourself? I noticed you said something about having, a bunker or what have you, or you said something when we talked about that. Is there anything that you're doing, any type of prepping that you yourself are doing for you and your family?
What I'm doing is I'm going to the local markets now. The farmers market. We've got a local farmers market that operates here, not too far from where I live at. Just a small one. From on Wednesdays from 8 to 12, and Fridays from Saturdays from 8 to 12. So we do that, or I'll go out to the larger local farmers market. And that kind of started because my wife wanted to eat tomato sandwiches. So I was like, okay, well, we're getting tomato sandwiches. Oh wow, look here. They got some good looking summer squash and zucchinis and different things. I said to myself, I'm not going to grow my farm, my garden anymore, because I'm going to set that up for my next house. I'm going to have a homestead. So, and like I said, this is an ongoing process. This is not just because of this. This is something that, like Martin said, I see, I have a vision of the future. What if I didn't have, what if I could reduce my grocery bill? Okay. So I grow tomatoes and I can my own tomatoes. It's not that difficult. Just boil them in some water, a little bit of salt, put them in a jar, can them, and they're preserved. Make my own pickles. I smoked pickles. All right. See, so like I said, is
smoked pickles.
Yes, sir.
Hungry.
Yes,
I
sir.
want
some.
Yeah, because I love taking cucumbers and like before a cucumber doesn't get eaten in my house, then we'll chop it up and we'll drop it in some pickle juice from an old pickle jar or whatever. I keep them with the juice in there and drop them in, and I add a bunch of different seasoning and spices, and I got some that are spicy and different flavors.
Right.
And I love it.
You can actually, like I said, it's an easier process of pickling. That's easy. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because it's already made. But if you want to make your own, add your different flavors, it's not that difficult either to go ahead and salt those vegetables and things. But that's the stuff that I do is I go to the local, I support the local farm system. Okay. I support, my eggs, my meat, anything that I can go. Matter of fact, I just bought what, about 2 pounds of fresh caught trout the other week, and that's what we had. I did some I didn't do pan seared. I did some baked trout, and it was, and this is straight out of the water. Okay, see, so I didn't have to worry, now, if it's the water, but this, clean water sources and things, but that's what I do is I try to incorporate more, or go to, we have an international market here as well, where you get things that kohlrabi and all types of different vegetables that
That's
you've
not a
never
Jungle
seen
Gems,
before.
is it?
Say what?
Is it a Jungle Gems?
No. This is Super G is what it's called.
Okay.
And I get 50% of that grocery store is produce. I love it. You get Chinese, you get Chinese green beans, you get, daikon, you get all types of stuff that you can make, exotic different dishes, but it's all fresh. Now, some of it, you're saying, well, where are they getting this stuff from? Well, obviously, some of it is imported. If you get durian or jackfruit or things like that, but some of it now, some of it can be grown locally, especially in the climate that we're in where it doesn't really get super super cold and you can have an extended growing season. That's like right now, it's August. Anybody that's thinking about a farm, this is the time when you look at trying to grow your fall vegetables, your root vegetables, collard greens, cabbage, that sort of thing. Another thing I do is I eat for what's available in the season. Okay. Like I said, collard greens, cabbage, beets, rutabagas, sweet potatoes, things that, are getting ready to be in season in fall. That's what I eat in the fall, and I do this all the time. I don't try to, yeah, it's good to have tomatoes. This is why you can your tomatoes so that you can have tomatoes in the fall. You can have cucumbers and pickles and all of this in the fall because fall is not the time that tomatoes grow. See, so like I said, is you do those types of things. And I think, like I said, is this is the type of stuff that people are going to have to start doing again. I mean, even if you're in the city and you got just a small patch of a little garden, a little backyard, grow you some tomatoes and cucumbers, okay, and onions and garlic, right? Tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, and garlic. Those are like my staples in the house. And then maybe grow a couple of heads of cabbage. So now you got a meal, right? It's a vegetarian meal, but hey, and that's just items that you won't have to get from the grocery store. But you got to prep for all that stuff with the seeds as well. So,
It sounds like we
this is the
need to be moving
time.
towards the vegetarian.
So yeah, this is the time really to kind of say, all right, if okay, so I'm not gonna process any meat, cows or chickens or goats or sheep, whatever. But I can grow me some vegetables, and maybe I grow me a couple of tomato plants, a couple of this, couple of that, and then I can make my own spaghetti sauce. I can make my own, grow my own garlic. Maybe I gotta buy my olive oil from somewhere, but you reduce some of the cost because now you don't have to go out to the grocery store to get these things. This is the time to learn how to really was, if you didn't learn before, you're gonna learn now. And this is what you need to take from this, these adverse times is I gotta do for self now. I gotta make sure that I have enough food for myself to be able to eat and change up some of the things that I do because if I don't, I'm going to be at the mercy of the grocery store, these corporations, all right, feeding me edibles instead of everything that you eat can be edible, but it's not technically food, right? There's a
Absolutely
difference.
right.
Understand the difference between something that's edible and food. So, growing your own food, right? And there's just nothing like a tomato fresh out of the garden. You're not beating that, or a cucumber fresh, something that you've grown, that you've put your passion into, and you chase the bugs and the rabbits away, and you get that thing, and you be like, man, boy, see, so that's what I do. That's what I do.
You grab some cherry tomatoes right off the vine and eat them, and that's
Cherry
delicious.
tomatoes right straight off the vine. Matter of fact, my nieces and nephews, that they are getting older, and that's when they look back. They say, "You're not growing." I said, "No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna get some land and get about 4 tunnel tents, and I'm gonna get about 4. I want to get 10 by 40 tunnel tents so I can grow lots. Be part of a farming community to where we can trade back and forth. Give me some chickens, give me some goats." And another essential thing I want to do is I want to keep bees. Bees are very essential to any. If you are a farmer, you want to have bees somewhere around
You've
in
been
your
talking
farming
about bees
community.
for as long as I've known you.
Say what?
So you've been talking about doing beekeeping for as long as I know you, man. I know you.
Listen.
I
Like
know
I
you
said,
gonna do it.
it takes time and preparation, and I'm educating myself on doing all of this stuff. Getting
Absolutely.
myself physically in shape to be able to do it. Thinking about the land, thinking about what's going to be around it. How am I going to get my bees inside of my tunnel tent so they can go ahead and pollinate all of my, all of my vegetables and
Don't have to worry
things.
about that.
Say what?
You won't have to worry about that. They'll find a way in.
Oh yeah. Oh, shoot, I'm gonna have, like I said, I'll have a gate, and I'll have like areas where they
Put
can
up a
just come right
sign.
on in.
Bees enter here.
Yeah, come right on in, and then they'll know how to get right on back out. But like I said, is that's an integral part. I don't think I want to sell honey too much, because, like I said, I'll sell some honey, or not sell it, but
Well,
have
just
some
sell it
honey
to
for
us.
myself. So yeah, have some honey for myself.
It's probably been one of the most traded commodities in the world. So
honey, yeah,
it's one of the most consumable traded commodities in the world.
Right. Honey, the wax, all of that. See, so and like I said, it's this, but this goes back to the things you can do when you're retired. See, so
Hey, let me jump in here real quick and tell you another way to preserve those tomatoes so you can have them in the wintertime. So at the end of the season, when you get that, about August, somewhere probably around the 30th and 1st of September, you'll get those tomatoes that's taking a little bit longer to ripen, and they're growing bigger, and but take those off there and wrap them in newspaper and put them in a box and put them underneath your bed. And then whenever this winter comes along, you just take them out and put them in the windowsill, and you'll have that summer flavor instead of that greenhouse flavor.
Wow. Okay.
All right. So good stuff there. So I mean, that kind of goes right along here with what we're talking about. Community gardens, home gardens, alternative food sources. We definitely need to get more into that, and
it's a small portion of it, though. I mean, we've been talking about that forever. It's not that it isn't a valued solution, but in a famine, you better know where to get what and how to get it, and try to secure that for the time you need it next. And we're in a place right now, I believe, that the infrastructure locally is the most important asset that we have the ability. I mean, just like what Leonard was telling you about it, that asset locally that he has a connection to is there, but it's only fragile. It's from noon to 8 o'clock to noon, 2 days a week. That's pretty fragile connection. We've got to create a greater infrastructure, and we're doing that as a company. That's what we've been focused on my whole career.
Now there's also the larger farmers market that's kind of down the highway, but I just catch this one because even where I live at, right up the street from where I live at, there's a Rudd Farms, okay, and you can pick strawberries. They got all kinds of things. They got a huge tunnel tent out there, so is I can actually go to a farm and pick my own stuff if I want to. Wineries, that's another good place to get berries and grapes and different things. See, a lot of people don't think about that as the vineyard, because they're going to grow those fruits. See, so that's another good resource. Like I said, is use your local resources. Use your local resources. You got a lot of farmers. That's what they want, is they want you to come and buy their stuff. They're priced that way. Okay. We go to some places up in Virginia that has, great, matter of fact, a lot of these farms and a lot of these, apiaries in different places. An apiary is what is where people keep bees. That's what an apiary is. So a lot of these places, they're online. They're utilizing technology. They can send you letters to let you know what's in season, all of that kind of stuff. So you have to really utilize that stuff. And if you're in a community and you got some vacant lots, get with your city council person and say, listen, let's try to create a community garden right here, and to where anybody in the community can go get cabbage and tomatoes and collard greens and, mustard greens and all of these types of things. And now, like I said, is that that community. I give you a quick example. Is we had a community co-op built, and I tried to support it as much as I could, but it was basically built on the same model as what you see with other grocery stores, and you weren't really getting the price savings. Okay, People are all about the money at the end of the day. You know, if it ain't if it's costing you more than it would to go to Walmart or go to Harris Teeter or go to, you know, whatever your local grocery store is, then you know you really are saying, okay, so why am I going here? Okay, or if you got a tenth of of space for fresh produce, you know, and one of my suggestions was, let's not have a grocery store. Let's have a farmer's market. Let's have a place, another farmer's market where local farmers can come and bring their stuff on a daily basis, where people can do. If you go to foreign countries, most foreign countries you have a small refrigerator, small stove, not a lot of cook because everybody eats out on the economy in the market, and they'll bring fresh stuff home maybe, right, to eat for that day. Growing up, my grandmother, we used to go to the grocery store every day, right? Because we ate what we put. Now, you know, this lifestyle is that's kind of difficult, right? But we kind of got to get back to that because that's when we were the most healthiest, right? You think about it, you know, is back then we were eating pretty much the same things we eat now, except the difference is how this food is prepared and how it's stored and how it's preserved. So, you know, is
Transportation,
right.
dictate that shelf life. How long is it going to be on a shelf? How far does it have to travel to get there? All of
Right.
those things are factors in the, the amount of profit that has to be generated, as well as, the securities, the liability risk of contamination. And I mean, there's just so much that the current supply chain transfers that cost that you can avoid working locally. There are a lot of issues with that right now, though, because we have, it takes 8 months right now to get a hog slaughtered. If you
Right.
have a hog right now that you are raising, you have got to have a date before you have the hog.
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
because of the bottleneck of not enough slaughter houses.
I
So
think here when I was working down east North Carolina, I think it's 6 months. A hog had to be 150 pounds before. Was
yeah,
it was it? I can't quite remember, but I know it took about 6 months before a hog could be slaughtered. So, and that's the other part of it too that people don't understand is grain not only affects us, it affects our livestock. You know, our
big time.
food supplies that we want to eat, the chickens and the hogs and the
Just want
cows
to
and
eat corn all the time. If you want to eat corn all the time, you'll be all right. But I like to turn the corn in. There's a country song that says, rain makes corn and corn makes whiskey. I think
yeah,
rain makes corn and corn makes pork chops.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. See, so like I said, is that's the other part of it is not only is this going to affect, not only does grain production and transportation and the supply of grains affect your vegetables for your consumption, it affects the vegetables for the consumptions of your of your livestock. So yeah, permaculture prepping, yeah, homesteading, yeah, exactly.
So, you know, as we look at this, then the solution in part is start taking care of things yourself at
Right.
home when it comes to farming. There's a lot of little prep kits even at the dollar store, basil, and other herbs and stuff that they sell that you can, I mean, of course you don't know, unless you really read and research where that seed came from. But nonetheless, there's opportunity to start doing that, to start doing a little bit here and there. Even if you just started with some herbs, which is kind of the easiest thing to do, is
Right.
can we still take seeds and put them in between a, a brown paper towel like we did as kids and
Styrofoam, yeah,
let them sprout and then drop them in the soil?
and the dirt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so absolutely. And that's one of the things you're talking about, GMO and non-GMO. One of the things that Monsanto does is makes a seed that doesn't have a plant that will not produce the seed that will grow again. So there's
Right.
heirloom seeds, and then there's genetically modified
Right.
seeds that that are out there. So you want to make that the fruit will be able to reproduce fruit, and that's how God intended it to happen. And so the seed. A couple of things I'd also tell you, if I was preparing right now, say Martin, he just got zapped and now he's in the inner city living in that space, I would be, for every person in my household, I would be looking for at least 6 canned goods per person per day. So if I reason for 6 is because one you can, if you have that many, you can spread 6 out over 3 or 4 days. So if you have to extend the time that you don't have access to food because of maybe there's a trucker strike and all of a sudden truckers aren't coming into your city, or maybe there's another outbreak in something that locks down the country, and we can't say, oh, that's Martin, you're being real pessimistic. No, I'm telling you things that could happen and have already happened.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that we've seen. These are things that have already, I mean, just ships being stopped across seas and products with an inability to get here. And we've seen the trucker strikes. It affected it a lot. So this isn't anything. You're not making this stuff up. You're really talking truth here on the Truth Be Told show. Ambrose Lee says, I recommend to look up permaculture, prepping, homesteading, and survival skills. Leonard, look up how to keep deer and rabbits away by planting plants that they don't like around the plants you want to
aromatics.
keep safe.
Yeah, aromatics, keep all types of insects and things, basil and
because you can't stand there, you can't sit there with a gun and just shoot them and then eat them, because that'd be a lot of time that you'd have to spend sitting there posted up to watch that. Although that'd be a lot of meat that you'd be able to capture and hopefully salt and save. But
you do that and you get some dogs to chase them away too. So
yeah, but I got a 21st century solution to that. How about putting your camera on that motion camera like you have on your front porch that alerts your phone on your garden, and whenever that alerts, you go out and open the door and put it down and then put it in the freezer.
Yeah.
Hey,
that's
not a bad idea.
I ain't gonna let a deer run off when I don't have to. If he's being a nuisance to my garden, I'm going to put him in the freezer.
Right.
Yeah, look, vegetarian yet meat eater out of necessity.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Make it. I say to that, check all the regulations and all that. But literally, though, that's a 21st century solution. You don't have to sit there. They can alert your phone and right in. You can go in and take that out. But no, I'm serious. It gets that serious. The Bible talks about a great harvest. It's going to come as a sign, and what I mean by that is I believe we're going to turn to this creation and have to, through desperation, come back to these type of harvesting, planting, sowing, and harvesting and reaping kind of endeavors, regardless if we're prepared for it. And so, because I believe in the word is told us God's never created chaos. He's always created order. And, when he says these things are happening, I can see them. And I know Leonard and I believe your viewers can start to see, if not have already been seeing, this economic collapse, the crisis in corruption, the crisis in production and manufacturing. So, I think it's going to happen regardless of us, whether we're prepared, but being prepared for, like I said, 6 canned goods per person per day gives you.
I think that's a detriment right there. 6 canned goods per person per day, folks. You need to stock up.
And the other thing about that, and the reason for that is you'll have some to share to people who will defend that stock, because if you're having to defend it yourself, then you got to sleep sometime, and you've got to, things have got to happen. And so tactically, it gives you a chance to spread that in a way to defend the supply. The other thing I would say is rice, beans. Those 2 things are staples that you can never have too much of. ever
Right.
have too much of those to be able to share and to defend your family and as a community. If your community has those staples, rice and beans amongst
Beans.
themselves, you're going to be okay if
Right.
enough of you have it.
Right. Especially like I said, rice and beans. Yeah, because you can dry them out. They preserve really well. Because that was the next crop. Because I've grown okra, squash, peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchinis, watermelons, cantaloupes. I've grown a bunch of different things, right? But beans I've not grown. So that was one of the things I said to myself. I said I'm gonna have to grow some beans. Beans and green beans, you got to stay on top of them because they'll grow fast. But like I said, is especially with beans, is they dry out. You can store them easily, and now you got food because of the fiber content of the beans and the rice that gives you the energy. You could live off of that literally.
Yeah,
See, so
and so the other thing to that, add to that, is when you have those staples, you can travel if you need to
right,
get away from danger. Those are easy traveling elements that you can carry with. If you carry canned goods, 6 canned goods per day per person, you're not going somewhere away from that supply. But if you have to go, from that supply, and am I saying to you that we're in that position to, that's on the horizon? I'm saying if things continue the way that they are, and if you're not prepared for it, then you're going to be a victim of it. And there's nothing better than being prepared for the future.
right.
So the other thing about that is go learn how to fish and
Yeah.
hunt and look at poke. Have you ever eaten poke? Man, it's one of my favorite summertime herbs that grow in the wild.
Poke salad.
It grows.
Yeah.
Yeah, poke. Yeah, and it makes a great dish. Got high protein, and on and on and on. There's so many vegetables that are growing in the wild, that are available to us if you're aware of those things. So, am I
Right.
saying we're going to be all prepped out and do all these things? I'm saying we got to be looking at it in case we need to be, and that's what we're doing. And we got to fix this economic supply chain issues where corporations are vacuuming those dollars out of our communities and doing nothing back with them. So
Right.
we've got to use those dollars more wisely. I call it the grocery hustle. We need
Yeah.
we need more of a grocery hustle in the inner cities, be able to create economic development there. That's
Right.
you
Right.
think about
Yeah.
how many stamps dollars go into the inner city and realize there's a good hustle there.
Yeah. And like I said, is I'm from Chicago, so I know about food insecurity. Within a urban environment where, like I said, growing up, we had a farm. We had my grandmother used to go to the curb market where you could get, fresh deli. You get deli stuff and you get fresh vegetables. She would go every day, and we would eat what she got every single day, and so you knew it was fresh. It was fresh as it could be, rather. And all that is gone now. You don't have that kind of stuff anymore. So, how do you bring that sort of thing back? I mean, the big grocery stores, mom and pops stores don't want the big grocery stores in the cities, but mom and pop grocery stores have got to grow or create some sort of cooperative to where you have a combined market where you can go to farmers and suppliers and different things and buy in huge bulk, right? Where you get those discounts and you get, those things to where you can bring them back to your communities and say, hey, I'm buying now 1,000 of these or 10,000 of these, see, so because I have that kind of demand in my community. So it's all types of ways, to be able to try to figure this thing out. But what it really requires is everybody's active participation, right? And to have a
Consciousness.
conversation about it.
That's a consciousness.
Right.
Being conscious that you're spending your dollars. They got on, why ain't you for Monsanto? And you got to be conscious of that you're funding that. And if you're conscious that you're funding those activities, that you are are saying are counterproductive for your community. It's not bringing in the nutrition. It's not making economic development for poverty. It's not doing anything. If it ain't doing those things, then you demand it with your dollar.
Right.
And, you know, the company, we're sitting here saying, demand it of us. You know, we're working, you know, every day to open those supply chains into that space to elevate nutrition in those
How can we
places.
support you? How can
What's
we
that?
support you more, Martin?
Well, the object of support is to be able to understand, you know, what the cause is, right? And so the cause is to what you're doing right now, taking a community, being responsible enough to bring a guest on with a topic that's you know, relevant enough to speak to all of the audience. If you're doing just that one thing right there is one of the most important aspects of what you can be doing with your community. Second of all, talk to your families, each one of you. Right. Talk to your families in a way that says, let me give you another viewpoint. And in that viewpoint, they're going to ask you, well, who's doing that? Point them our way to our farmers. Our farmers, if you're local, listen to me, in the Mississippi, Ohio River Valley, if you're local and you're aware of this conversation and this need, then reach out to us, United Global Co-Opportunities. My email address is martin@kyregistered.com, martin@kyregistered.com. You can email me, call me. My cell phone number, I'll give it to you direct, is 502-320-1952. If you've got a consciousness because of this conversation, or for you have a God-given you gift to view things in the future and want to be a part of the expansion, it's simple as reaching out and then allowing the infrastructure to develop between your purchase and the production locally. And we're gonna link that for you and be able to help you access that, such that you're not going to be tactically unaware, and also with the securities that you're going to have locally by a farmer who says, no matter what the economy is, I know that you are my customer, and I'm going to process for you. I'm going to grow for you, and now you're going to limit that security that those around you have. And doing that, eliminating that for you, and leading others to have them be able to eliminate that for them, is exactly what has to be done in order for us to get beyond this limitation that currently exists in the supply chain.
And you said that was that the 1952 number?
Yeah, go ahead and give them my cell number, my personal cell phone number. And the reason why I do that is because this isn't a big corporate, holy moly, this is farmers working directly with you. The job of our corporation is to make that connection and set up the logistics between the farm and the consumer. And that's what we do. And that's what we're doing in Louisville and focused on doing in the whole Mississippi, Ohio River Valley.
Awesome. You know, I can't say enough about how important this is and how much we need to support you. And when I say support, I mean to the point to where, because we've seen inventors that come up with amazing things that would essentially shut down some big corporate companies that are making money in old ways, keeping people down. We've seen some of those inventors disappear. We've seen them get poisoned. We've seen all type of things. So when I say support, I mean, I want it to the point to where we make sure that we corral around a person that is trying to do great things and cover them in every way possible because of how important what they're doing is. So I know you say go point to our local farmers. We want to do that. Because I know for a fact that, there's been plenty of times, driving out close to Mount Washington, picking up my kids or what have you, in some of that land out there where I've seen signs for eggs for, $3.50, $4 or whatever. And at the time I looked at them like, that's crazy. But as I started to get more in tune with what I want for my eggs, I want my chickens I don't want them to just be free range eating grain, because I don't know the inception of that grain. I don't know how it was created, made, whatever. They're vegetarian grain. Okay, great. What are the seeds? You know, who are the GMO seeds involved in that at all? You know what I mean? I want my chickens to go around and eat worms and bugs and the normal things that chickens eat.
Right.
So I'll pay that higher price. And now when I'm looking at it in a Kroger or Walmart or what have you, then I'm like, doggone it, I got to go find one of them farmer signs again and get it for that $3 and $4, because, you know, this $7 and $8 and $9 and $6 is getting ridiculous in the grocery store. So, you know, I want to support, meaning, you know, we need to do a show at the farm, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get out to the farm. Let's do a show at the farm. I want to show you guys something else as we're getting ready to exit here real quick. I want to show you guys something. This is another inventor that I feel like we need to figure this out. And the crazy thing about this is just pay attention to the guy's name as we look at this. And I think you guys will be as interested in this as possible. You guys have probably already seen this. But this is something that right now we need to figure out how to get with this guy or recreate his machine so that we can help more people as well. Just check this out, folks.
Clean drinking water, a natural resource we often take for granted near the Great Lakes. But Moses West knows a water crisis is quietly growing.
Everybody knows we're running out of water.
A problem the retired ranger spent the past 4 years working to eliminate.
All the water that we need it exists right here in the air.
He believed so strongly in that idea. In 2015, West invented an atmospheric water generator, or AWG, a machine that takes in air and turns it into drinking water.
We're at the place now, I think, making 50, 100, 200, 250,000, 1 million gallons of water at an incredibly low energy consumption. I think cheaper than groundwater by far, cheaper than desalination.
So far, 12 of these AWGs exist. West planted them in 3 areas, including the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and Flint, Michigan.
I need to engage with the people here, and I need to show them what this machine does, and they need to understand that it is their machine, and I am here for them.
West says his AWGs are federally approved, and the water quality is also tested by the Colorado Water Authority.
It's clean. It's good enough to drink. No bacteria or anything in it. And the reason that we go through the filtration process, so as soon as you turn it on, it starts making water.
You may be wondering how these atmospheric generators are tied to Wisconsin.
Most of West AWGs were manufactured right here in Manitowoc.
And the people of Manitowoc should be proud. Just 1 unit provides a city with hundreds of gallons of clean water. The best part, it doesn't cost residents a penny. West works with organizations like the Water Rescue Foundation to cover the cost. So far, the response in the community has exceeded his expectations.
They were very happy that somebody actually cared enough for them to come to jump over the bureaucracy, come to a private piece of land and do this thing.
Right now, his priority is planting these AWGs in Flint, helping our neighbors here in the Midwest. In Manitowoc, Michelle London, Spectrum News.
So this is the type of stuff, man, that is right in line with everything that you're talking about, how we need to take care of ourselves. Ambrose Lee said it here. I had a dehumidifier once. It's an oversized dehumidifier ultimately. So it may not have as much of the mineral value, but I would say that it's probably better than drinking your tap water. Your tap water is brought to a 7.5, roughly 7.5 pH balance by any means necessary. So, turn it on for a long time and just sit there and sniff, and you'll see what some of those means are. Chlorine is nothing you should take even in small doses through a number of years. With that being said, then it's stuff like that where somebody creates this amazing stuff, and then all of a sudden, they die in a tragic something, or something happens, and it's like, why didn't the community that's there get around this person? Let's get our local, hey, you know what, you want to be a thug, let's be a thug for a cause. Let's and let's get the local guys there to, this guy needs security around him at all times, I promise you, because that right there is just something amazing. Any thoughts? And yeah, yes, you're right, Ambrose, I agree. Minerals, but for hydration purposes. I think at that point, then, because we're talking about water shortages. I mean, I would assume that we can't have a food shortage without there being a water shortage, because they go hand in hand, right?
That's part of it. I mean, we definitely have droughts all over the world. I mean, happening right now. I mean, some of the most extreme recorded weather droughts in history is happening right as we speak. So, that technology is definitely not one to be underestimated in its potential by far. I mean, imagine if you have you're in Colorado and you've got a greenhouse, and you can't, because of the water restrictions there, you can't use groundwater, you can't collect water, whatever, what have you. You can put that in the systems and water your greenhouses, not having any federal restrictions associated to humidity in the air. So it shouldn't be. I think that technology should be looked at for many other applications outside of just supplying water, turning water into productive benefit for many people around the world. Imagine you got, once there was a project that they sent rabbits to over to Haiti, and the rabbits went over there to Haiti, but the resources available for rabbits was, limited to human consumable resources that they were consuming. So instead, because of that limitation, they ate all the rabbits and still were hungry, at the end of the day. But if you put this kind of system in there, at least you have the water requirements covered instantly with a system. So I think there's some real application there, automated applications as well. So you can connect that right to an automated watering system. So lowering the labor cost or labor resources needed to produce,
But do you think that this is? I mean, do you think that what's happening right now is intentional?
I'm thinking what's happened now is what Jimmy Carter said it best like this. I think I want to answer it like this. He said the day that we allowed corporations to have the same or greater value than the individual was the day that basically America ceased to exist the way we know it. Knew it then. And so corporations, listen, I'm not hating on corporations. I'm hating on the outcomes of the choices that we consumers have made. We're woke now. Okay, what does that mean?
I'm hating on the integrity of corporations, of some of these corporations. I'm hating on the heart that they are not putting in. I'm hating on the compassion that they don't have.
Capitalism by nature promotes that. It creates institutions of greed. And so greed is not a very compassionate.
Can create institutions of greed, right? But I mean, I have a business. We all, a lot of us have had business. We do it to make money. But I feel like there is a manner at which you can move synergistically, where your passion and your heart is to help people, and you will be blessed accordingly. Meaning, you can grow, expand, and continue to make more money and continue to help more people if that's your true intent. Now, there is the element of greed there that if you take this little sidestep here, you can walk down, but that's a choice, right?
Vice. So without guardrails, just like the law in the Bible gave us guardrails, not because here's why God's not saying don't steal. He's saying I don't steal. He's saying don't create adultery because I'm not an adulterer. On and on and on. So without the law describing what God isn't, he's not a liar. He's not somebody who's going to steal from you. He doesn't have those elements. So in the economic structure, when you're looking at that same model, you have to have guardrails such that greed doesn't over. So, okay, you did that, all that heartfelt stuff, but I figure out a way to sink your ship and I capitalize on the momentum you put in the market because I'm giving everybody a better value and promoting what's inside of them, and that is greed. Oh, if I can get it less from him, I'm not buying from you, no matter how heartfelt you are. So without guardrails, just like the Bible, we got to define what we're not. We're not going to take over somebody else's corporation because we can. How do you prevent that from happening in this economic structure? You can't. So that's why I created if you look me up and you can Google me, Martin Smith, and the work that I did with the Center for Economic and Social Justice. But I wanted to create an economic structure. There's three structures. You'll recognize them: communism, capitalism, and socialism. Capitalism, like I said, creates institutions of greed, and greed is a vice to human beings. Socialism and communism create institutions of envy, and envy is a vice to human beings. I wanted to create an economic structure that would be able to create a virtue, would be able to be applied towards the virtuous side of the human experience. And so I created productionism. And what production, being able to be productive is, and be able to produce more than you can consume and be able to use that to strengthen the community around you is a virtuous task. Like you said, a heart, centered, correct, motivated mindset. So I wanted to keep it in that vein. So productionism, the economic structure of it, the equation of it is production in proximity to its consumption is its greatest asset. Production in proximity to its consumption is its greatest asset. Yeah. So when you build an economic structure based on that model right there alone, it doesn't allow for those outside influences like Monsanto and Walmart and all those others to penetrate that security that the economy is seeking as a virtuous. They don't want a greed-based economy. They want a virtuous based economy. And once given that opportunity locally, then they don't want to choose something else that's going to make them subject to the economy.
Absolutely. And, if anybody wants to look it up, you can go out there and just Google Martin Smith Center for Economic and Social Justice. And you'll find some YouTube videos of him speaking at the Capitol about all of this just the same. And all that good stuff. We're getting out of here, and my mind is everywhere. I'm really just thinking, and my heart is kind of heavy because I'm really just thinking, how can I protect mine? How can I protect my family? And I'm racing out of here. First and foremost, I think the easiest thing that I can do is when I go out shopping, because there's some school stuff to go do today for the kids. But when I go out shopping, I think I'm definitely grabbing the canned goods. That's the first thing to do. I've got the space. I've got the cupboard space in my garage, so I'm grabbing the canned goods. Where can I buy seeds? Where can I buy quality seeds? Is Walmart seeds? And you know what? Walmart, even, I think, over the time of the pandemic, seeds got scarce. And I started seeing what typically would be on a display at Walmart at Ben's Bargain. And their home and garden centers being more scarce. In some Walmarts, just a place where birds go and shit everywhere. Seriously. So where can we buy quality seeds?
So what about local hardware stores? Local hardware stores and gardening places. We got a place called Patriot Hardware where here, and it's just local. and you get seeds. You can get seeds. You can get hardware supplies. You can get farming equipment, gardening equipment, and you can also get you can get topsoil. You can also get compost, topsoil compost mix. See, so this is where I go. Like I say, you go to your mulching places. Go to, any of these local places. Ask the farmers, hey, where you get your seeds from, or do you have seeds? Are you doing heirlooms? They may like, but some of them are like, sure. A lot of them, a lot of farmers, if you're just trying to create a local garden, you ain't trying to, cut them out of their farming business. They may share some seeds, or they may sell you some seeds. So, or if you buy the fruit, like a tomato, you get seeds in them.
Yeah. I want to address what you were saying there, Leonard, in regards to the farmers, and as long as you're not competing with the local farmer knows there's not enough production for them to attract enough business. So you're not ever going to, with this model swings, and when the need for this model swings away from greed towards production, you're going to want people to be producing around you. You're going to want to drive down the road and see fields full of food, because that's going to mean your community is going to make it.
Right.
Yeah. And people need to remember, it was just as recent as 100 years ago, maybe, where 95% of Americans farmed.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's less than 2%. I would say
agrarian society,
3 to 2% of Americans farm, and right now it's all been boiled down. And let me tell you, and I'm gonna say this, so Martin the farmer doesn't have to, but Monsanto, in cahoots with the government, has gone around to farms all over the U.S. And created problems there, physical problems, in order to create the space for them to buy those farms. And when I say problems, I'm talking about they have gone and roughed people up. They have gone and done some nefarious things around the world at different farms in order to create a situation to buy that land, buy those farms, and create commercial production. And in commercial production, then, that's why your chicken leg is so big. That's why your chicken, breast is so fat, and that's why your daughters are walking around looking like that. That's why the weight of a child, the obesity weight, like every 10 years goes up. Everybody's getting bigger and bigger. I just saw a picture of a 14-year-old kid playing football that looked like a freaking monster, and it's a heavy protein diet, probably. That's being influenced with a lot of hormones, so that is working its way throughout our neural system and everything. And now you wonder why people are running around here half-cocked crazy. Folks, we are in a situation to where the need for us to start taking care of ourselves, more so than relying on the government, is here. The time is yesterday, and we now need to focus on that. Any last words, Leonard, before we go?
My last words is, let's make social responsibility, accountability, self-reliance, let's make that a trend now, instead of dancing and TikToking and all these types of things. Let's make taking care of ourselves and looking out for each other a trend, right? A trend that will never end.
And we won't be victims of it at the future.
Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So, it's a situation where we've got to get responsible. We
we got to do this. So I'm sitting here again. My mind is just everywhere thinking about this. So, fellas, it's been a great show. It's past time to go, and I appreciate you, Leonard, for stepping in as a guest host. I know we'll see you more of you. Martin Smith, appreciate you just the same with the knowledge that you have. It's invaluable. And I think we all should reach out to this. Again, did y'all catch the name, Moses?
Yeah, absolutely.
Moses
Yeah.
West, yeah.
Moses with the water
West, U.S. Army Ranger retired.
The U.S. has trained some very intelligent people, man. Let me just say that because, hats off to all of you and thank you for your service. But the U.S. has trained some very smart people, and it's amazing. We've trained them to be able to survive out there. Why not take that knowledge and bring it back home and utilize it on a day-to-day basis? So again, we should try to reach out to this brother Moses West and see how we can. I think that's something that you could include in your United Global Co-op program as well. So let's do that and see if we can get that going. I want to get more involved. And Martin, I want you to outline something that the next time we bring you back on, that you can bring back and say, this is how you can physically get involved with me to help me do what we do. 15,000farmers.com. I just sent them an email while we were talking. That was something that the Heine brothers here locally, was a program that they were behind. Don't know if I sent them an email to say, hey, is it still going? Because the last post in their blog looked like the 2017, so it may not still be going. But that was a program where they taught people how to do I think it was like a 4x6 above ground box of planting to be able to get food 3 out of 4 seasons, something like that.
Let's do this. How about we do this? How about I come to your place this week sometime and we build one of those and put some fall taters in. Show you how to do it.
I'm with it. Show me how to do something that can survive that I can have for the winter. Absolutely. I'm all about it. I've been looking on Amazon at greenhouses. Now you're getting me excited. I've been just to start. I saw the 3 shelf on each side type of small walk up greenhouse to start. So, tell me and I'll buy the stuff and let's get it going. I'm with it.
So we're instead of using a greenhouse, we're gonna use your house, so you don't have to go buy a greenhouse right away. And we're gonna do some microgreens where we're gonna sprout some beans and do some microgreens right in your window, and then we're gonna go out in the backyard and put you in your fall taters, and you're gonna be set.
Awesome. All right, I'm all about it. Hey, appreciate it. Ambrose Lee, have a great week. Shout out to Uncle Me Shorn. Shout out to Esoteric Concepts. Everybody for jumping on and speaking up. MosesWestFoundation.org. Let me go ahead and post that just the same. Leonard Walker found that, so we can put that there for everyone to see and get involved. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you same place, same time. Peace.
All right, cue the music.
Cueing music.
Start the music.
Starting music.
And go.
It's the Truth Be Told show, where we place America first. Honoring those who America has forgotten. Listen in and unlearn to relearn. As we set the record straight. And now, your host of the Truth Be Told show, Mr. Just Ask Joe and Uncle Me Shorn.